Last spring I was on my hands and knees waging war against what I thought were invasive weeds when my soil scientist neighbor stopped me mid-pull and asked a question that changed everything. Do you realize those plants are working harder to improve your soil than anything you could buy at the garden center? What followed was an eye-opening education about two common weeds that most gardeners destroy on site, not realizing they're actually nature's most dedicated soil rehabilitation specialists working for free in gardens worldwide. The revolutionary role of dandelions as soil engineers. Dandelions represent one of nature's most sophisticated soil improvement systems, though most gardeners see only the bright yellow flowers they're desperately trying to eliminate. These remarkable plants possess taproots that can penetrate 18 inches or deeper into compacted soil, creating natural channels that improve drainage and aeration long after the plant is gone. The extensive root system acts like a living crowbar, breaking through hardpan layers that prevent water infiltration and root development for other plants. The biochemical processes occurring around dandelion roots provide even more significant soil benefits than their mechanical soil penetration. These plants form extensive relationships with mycorrhizal fungi, creating underground networks that transport nutrients and water throughout the surrounding soil. When dandelions eventually die back, their decomposing roots leave behind channels filled with organic matter and beneficial microorganisms that continue improving soil structure for years. Dandelion leaves contain exceptionally high levels of potassium, calcium, and other essential minerals that they extract from deep soil layers and concentrate in their tissues. When these leaves decompose naturally or are chopped and left as mulch, they release these nutrients in forms readily available to shallow-rooted plants that cannot access deep mineral reserves. This natural nutrient cycling process essentially mines subsoil fertility and makes it available to your garden plants. The timing of dandelion growth provides another crucial soil benefit that most gardeners overlook. These plants emerge early in spring when soil is still cool and other vegetation remains dormant, protecting bare soil from erosion while beginning the season's nutrient cycling processes. Their deep taproots continue working through summer drought conditions when other plants struggle, maintaining soil biological activity during stressful periods. Clover, nature's nitrogen factory, operating in your garden. White clover and other clover species represent perhaps the most valuable soil improvement plants that gardeners routinely destroy without understanding their remarkable contributions. These leguminous plants host nitrogen-fixing bacteria in specialized root nodules, essentially operating as living fertilizer factories that can produce up to 200 pounds of nitrogen per acre annually. This biological nitrogen fixation process converts atmospheric nitrogen into forms that other plants can readily absorb and utilize. The nitrogen production from clover occurs continuously throughout the growing season, providing steady nutrient availability, rather than the feast or famine cycles associated with synthetic fertilizers. As clover plants mature and naturally die back, both the above-ground vegetation and the nitrogen-rich root nodules decompose, releasing this captured nitrogen gradually over months, rather than all at once. Clover's growth habit provides additional soil benefits beyond just nitrogen fixation. The dense, low-growing foliage actually protects soil from erosion and temperature extremes, while also suppressing less beneficial weeds that might compete with your garden plants. This living mulch effect, reduces water evaporation and helps maintain consistent soil moisture levels that really benefit neighboring plants all throughout the growing season. The extensive fibrous root system of clover improves soil structure in ways that complement the deep taproot action of dandelions. While dandelions create vertical channels for water and air movement, clover develops these horizontal root networks that bind soil particles together, preventing erosion and creating stable aggregates that help maintain soil structure season after season. Strategic management for maximum soil benefits. It's all about learning to work with these beneficial weeds rather than against them. It does require a fundamental shift in gardening philosophy, but honestly, the soil improvement results really do justify this change in approach. So instead of eliminating dandelions and clover completely, Strategic management actually allows you to harness their soil-building capabilities, all while preventing them from overwhelming your desired plants. The key here is understanding when and how to harvest these plants to maximize their soil benefits while, still keeping their spread in check. Dandelions, for example, should be cut before they set seed. Typically when those flowers begin to fade, but before the characteristic white seed heads develop. You want to cut the plants at ground level rather than pulling them, since this preserves those beneficial root channels while also preventing seed dispersal. You can use the harvested dandelion greens as, a high-nutrient mulch around your vegetable plants, or just add them to your compost piles. Their mineral content will really benefit the finished compost. The remaining root systems, well, they keep improving your soil structure, and they might even regenerate some new growth, which you can manage with repeated cutting. Clover management is all about maintaining productive stands while also preventing too much competition with your garden plants. So, let clover establish itself in pathways, around tree bases, and in those areas where you want some living mulch coverage. In your vegetable beds, you'll want to manage clover populations by cutting them back from time to time. Just leave the nitrogen-rich cuttings as a natural fertilizer for the plants growing nearby. So, understanding seasonal soil building cycles is really important. Both dandelions and clover, provide different soil benefits throughout the growing season, which makes their preservation and management valuable year-round activities. The spring emergence of dandelions, well, it actually coincides with the period when soil compaction from winter freeze-thaw cycles needs some natural remediation. Early dandelion growth begins breaking up those compacted layers, while their leaves start off the season's nutrient cycling processes. During the summer growth periods, we see maximum nitrogen fixation from clover, since the warm soil temperatures really optimize bacterial activity in the root nodules. And during this period, regular cutting of clover stands releases nitrogen pulses that benefit summer vegetable crops right when they're in their peak growth phases. So, dandelions continue their deep soil work during summer, accessing moisture and nutrients from depths that other plants just can't reach. Fall, represents the most critical period for soil building as both plants prepare for winter dormancy. Late-season dandelion growth stores maximum nutrients in roots, while clover reaches its peak nitrogen fixation rates before cold weather slows bacterial activity. Allowing both plants to complete their natural cycles honestly maximizes the soil organic matter and nutrient contributions they provide. Learning to distinguish between beneficial weeds and genuinely problematic invasive species becomes crucial for effective soil management. Heavy dandelion populations often indicate compacted or poorly drained soil conditions that these plants are actively working to correct. Rather than viewing dandelions as the problem, consider them symptoms of underlying soil issues that they're naturally addressing. Clover abundance usually indicates nitrogen-poor soil conditions, as these plants establish most readily where other vegetation struggles due to fertility limitations. As clover populations improve soil nitrogen levels, they often naturally decrease as other plants become more competitive in the improved growing conditions. Practical integration with conventional gardening. Successfully incorporating beneficial weeds into traditional garden management requires strategic planning and selective tolerance, rather than wholesale acceptance of any volunteer vegetation. Create designated areas where dandelions and clover can establish and thrive without competing directly with prized garden plants. So you can establish clover pathways between raised beds or vegetable rows, where the living mulch provides soil protection while also supplying nitrogen to adjacent plantings. These managed clover strips, well, they can be mowed periodically to prevent flowering and seed production, all while maintaining their soil improvement benefits. It's a good idea to allow dandelions to establish in areas with compacted soil or poor drainage, where few other plants really thrive successfully. These pioneer plants will gradually improve growing conditions, making these challenging areas suitable for more desirable vegetation in future seasons. So the most remarkable aspect of working with beneficial weeds, honestly, lies in their cumulative soil improvement effects over multiple growing seasons. Unlike purchased soil amendments that provide temporary benefits, these living soil builders, continue improving growing conditions year after year through their natural life cycles. Established dandelion and clover populations create increasingly fertile soil conditions that support greater plant diversity and productivity over time. Areas that initially required these pioneer species for soil remediation often naturally transition to supporting a wider range of plants as soil health improves. The biological soil-building processes initiated by these beneficial weeds create lasting improvements that persist long after the plants themselves are no longer present. The root channels, organic matter additions, and enhanced microbial activity continue benefiting soil structure and fertility for years following the initial establishment period. Ready to transform your relationship with these hardworking soil builders hiding in plain sight? Start by identifying existing populations in your garden and, observing their soil improvement effects rather than immediately removing them. Subscribe to Hydrohaven for more revolutionary insights that turn conventional gardening wisdom upside down, and share this knowledge with fellow gardeners who deserve to understand the secret soil workers already present in their landscapes.